We will start. Let's start with New York. Shams reported first on Thursday, Landry Shamet agreed to a deal, and on Friday, Malcolm Brogdon. Both of those contracts are non-guaranteed. Okay, the Knicks right now, before each player is signed, and they haven't signed yet, and I'm going to explain in a minute what's going to happen here. New York is $3.7 million below the second apron. As of right now, they can only keep a player on a veteran minimum contract, which is 2.3, and a player on a second round pick exception, which is right around $1.2 million. Both players are non-guaranteed contracts. They count as zero against the salary cap because nothing is protected. That clock does not start until we get closer to the start of the regular season here. So those guys can sign. They can come on the roster for training camp. But as I said, New York would have to make a decision on what of the two players do they keep. From my understanding, that there's a likelihood is that both will be on the roster when the regular season starts, barring an injury here. That means how do you create that money? And I think what you're looking at, that cap flexibility, I think you're probably looking at a trade, whether it be Tyler Kolek or Pacom Dadier, your first round pick from a year ago. That would give you the necessary room. If you traded Kolek, you can you can keep both Shamet and Brogdon and also sign a player to the second round pick exception. You'd be roughly $44,000 below the second apron. Dadier gives you a little bit more money as far as a flexibility standpoint here. So that is the situation in New York as far as a team that a lot had question as far as their depth when they lost to Indiana in the playoffs here. What you're going to see with New York is because they only have 12 players under contract. They haven't agreed to this. You're probably going to see two guys sign, and they also signed Garrison Matthews, which I think is going to be exhibit 10. You're going to see them get to 14 players and then sign Brogdon and Landry, because both those players are going to have an exhibit 9 in their contract. That means if either are injured during the training camp, the most New York can pay is $15,000. You can't include exhibit 9s in a player contract until your roster hits 14 players, not including two-way players. So they'll hit the 14, and then both those players will sign. We'll see when that happens. We're only 2 weeks away from training camp beginning. New York is heading overseas, and so we'll pay attention to that. But I would expect a move where probably maybe in the next 2 weeks, where one of those two former draft picks from a year ago are traded